The market district of Zenith, 7 buzzed with the usual cacophony of 1,000 species bartering, haggling, and navigating the crowded lanes. Logan moved through the chaos with practiced ease, his human frame drawing the occasional curious glance. Even after 5 years on this station, humanity remained a novelty, a species that had clawed its way into the galactic community through sheer stubborn refusal to quit. He stopped at a fruit vendor's stall, examining something that looked like a cross between a pineapple and a jellyfish. The vendor, a 6-armed Krell, chittered excitedly about freshness and flavor profiles, but Logan's attention drifted to a corner of the market square that a small figure sat hunched against a support column. At first glance, Logan thought it was a child, but the iridescent scales catching the artificial sunlight marked her as Valeth, a species he'd only encountered twice before. She couldn't have been more than 8 standard years old, her crystalline eyes fixed on the ground. Beside her stood an adult Valeth, presumably her mother, speaking in hushed, urgent tones. Logan's universal translator caught fragments. "Can't afford. Maybe next cycle. Please understand." The child's response cut through the market noise like a blade. "I don't want a toy, Mom." Her voice was barely a whisper, yet it carried a weight that made Logan's chest tighten. "For my birthday, I just want a dad." The mother's scales rippled with colors Logan's translator identified as profound shame and grief. She knelt beside her daughter, mandibles clicking softly, a gesture of affection among Valeth. "Zara, please. You know he's gone. The mining accident. Everyone else has won." The girl, Zara, continued, her voice cracking. "Renek's dad picks her up from Learning Center. Thorax's dad teaches him star mapping. Even the human kids have dads. Why can't I?" Logan felt his feet moving before his brain caught up. This wasn't his business. He had cargo to inspect, a ship to maintain, a schedule to keep. Yet something in that small, broken voice pulled him forward with gravitational inevitability that he stopped a respectful distance away. "Excuse me." Both Valeth looked up, startled. The mother's scales shifted to defensive orange, her body instinctively positioning between Logan and her daughter. "I couldn't help but overhear," Logan said, raising his hands in the universal gesture of peace. "And I know this is unconventional, but I was wondering if I could speak with you both for a moment." The mother's translator collar crackled. "We want no charity, human." "It's not charity," Logan said softly. He looked at Zara, whose crystalline eyes reflected his image a dozen times over. "My name is Logan. I'm a freight hauler. Not exciting work, but it keeps me fed. And the thing is, I don't have any kids. Never had the chance, really. Been alone up in the black for most of my adult life." He knelt slowly, matching the mother's earlier gesture, bringing himself to Zara's eye level. The station's deck plating was cold through his pants, but he ignored it. "I lost my own father when I was about your age," Logan continued. "Different circumstances, but the hole it leaves. I understand that. And I see you, sitting here on what should be the happiest day of your cycle, wishing for something that seems impossible." Zara's scales shimmered with cautious curiosity, pale blue mixing with silver. "You lost your dad too?" Logan nodded. "Ship malfunction. One minute he was there, teaching me how to plot jump coordinates. The next, he let the sentence hang. Some pain didn't need words." The mother's defensive posture softened slightly. "Why are you telling us this, human?" Logan met her gaze steadily. "Because among my people, we have a saying. It takes a village to raise a child. Family isn't always about biology. Sometimes it's about showing up, about being present, about choosing to care." He turned back to Zara. "I can't replace your father. No one can. But if your mother agrees, and if you'd like, maybe I could be something like an honorary dad. Show you how to plot those star maps. Teach you about different worlds and species. Pick you up from Learning Center sometimes." The market seemed to hold its breath. Around them, the usual noise continued, but in their small circle, time crystallized. "Why would you do this?" the mother asked, her scales now showing confused violet. "You owe us nothing. We are strangers." Logan smiled, and there was sadness in it, but also something warm and genuine. "That's exactly why. Because someone should. Because kindness shouldn't require a reason. And because—" he paused, choosing his words carefully. "Because humanity spent a long time alone in the dark before we found the rest of you. We learned that connections, real connections, are the only things that make the universe bearable. Zara looked up at her mother, scales rippling with barely contained hope. The mother's colors shifted through a complex spectrum of emotions: fear, hope, uncertainty, desperation, and finally, cautious acceptance. "You would truly commit to this?" the mother asked. "This is not some momentary impulse. Valeth, remember, we do not forget those who break promises to our young." "I'm aware," Logan said, "and I wouldn't offer if I wasn't serious. I'm stationed here for the next 5 standard years minimum. I have time. I have willingness. And honestly," he glanced at Zara again, "I think I need this as much as she does." The mother was silent for a long moment. Then her scales shifted to gold. "Acceptance. Decision. Trust. My name is Savara," she said quietly. "And this is my daughter, Zara. Today is her 8th cycle celebration." Logan extended his hand, then remembered himself and offered the Valeth greeting. Palm up, fingers spread, showing he held no weapons. Savara touched her smaller hand to his, scales warm against his skin. Then Logan turned to Zara and, in a gesture that would later be recorded in Valeth histories as the moment humanity truly earned its place among the stars, he knelt fully, both knees on the cold station deck, reducing himself to her height, making himself vulnerable in a way predator species rarely did. "Happy birthday, Zara," he said softly. "If you'll have me, I'd be honored to be part of your life. Not as a replacement, but as someone who cares." "Deal." Zara stared at him for 3 heartbeats. Then she launched herself forward, wrapping small scaled arms around his neck. Her translator collar caught her words, even muffled against his shoulder. "Deal, Dad. Deal." In the market of Zenith, 7, surrounded by 1,000 species and 1,000,000 stories, one human and one small alien girl forged a bond that neither biology nor circumstance could have predicted. And for Logan, kneeling on cold deck, plating with a crying child in his arms, the universe suddenly felt a little less empty. Behind them, Savara's scales rippled through every color of joy.